Okay, I'm going to introduce Pauline, who will be hosting this session. People that are here, hopefully you're interested in finding out more about property, how to invest in property, how to make money from property, etc. And that's what this stream is going to be about. So later on, we're going to have a session on how to convert personal company. We'll have a session on mortgages. So everything that we're doing in this stream is property related. And then what will happen is at the end of the day, we'll get everybody together again, and what we'll be talking about is estate planning and tax planning, which is really important. So make sure that you follow the schedule, make sure you know where you need to be at what time, and I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Pauline.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Pauline Thomas. I run the Smart Landlords Group, and I also run a surveying company where I do most of the checks that landlords need. So if you're a HMO landlord, I can actually arrange for a range of assessments, including fire specialists, electricians, gas safety engineers, and so on. So I'm here presenting the property panel, and I'd like to introduce you to Nellie, who's an accountant. Tell us all about yourself in about 1 minute, Nellie.
Good morning. I am Nellie Chudi, a certified bilingual accountant. I do help businesses with the taxes, advice, keeping the records, especially with the coming MTD, and provide all those services in French and English. Thank you.
And Lorraine, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Hello, my name's Lorraine Fontaine. I am a functional medicine practitioner. You're probably thinking, am I in the right place? and a nutritional coach. And I work with people who run businesses, who are highly stressed, burnt out, and I help them to transform their health so that they can run the businesses and do all the things that they want to do well. So that's what I do.
Excellent. And you're probably wondering why I've invited a naturopath to the stage. And if we all think about our individual circumstances, we are all stressed. We're all overwhelmed, particularly if you're a landlord, particularly if you're in the private rented sector. And I think it's really important that you kind of take care of yourself first, and then everything else will follow. So Lorraine's going to bring some wonderful insights, and Nellie too. Anthony, did you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yes. So most people know me. But other than being the head of the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce, I'm a qualified mortgage broker who's been working in the industry for over 30 years. So I've done 10 years of wealth management, 10 years of debt collection, and I've done lending both for finance, for property, as well as personal lending.
So we know that one of the things that's really decimated the business of being a landlord is the way we pay our taxes and what we're allowed to deduct from our taxes. So we know that a lot of landlords left with George Osborne's initiative back in 2015. So Nellie, why is the government introducing Making Tax Digital MTD for landlords?
Thank you very much, Pauline. Why MTD, Making Tax Digital? It's because HMRC realized that landlords, especially sole traders, used not to declare their taxes properly, and to avoid that shortfall, they introduced MTD. It means that landlords, especially sole traders, from April moving forward, will start presenting or submitting the income threshold up to 50,000 to HMRC every 3 months. And we have, HMRC, they have introduced a special software to submit those declaration. You cannot do them on the spreadsheet like people used to do. You have to choose a right and the approval software to be able to declare your property income. Thank you.
Absolutely. So it's basically revenue raising by the government. And you've got to remember that if you've been in the property business for 10, 15 years, you have equity in your property. They'd like to share that with you. So, you know, if you, and also reporting on your taxes every 3 months. To be honest with you, we should all be doing that anyway. If you don't know your numbers, if you don't know your income, if you don't know, because there are always patterns in these things, and patterns allow you to plan. So if you're not keeping these kind of records, then dare I say, you're not really operating your business properly. Just saying, it's not me, it's the government. Remember, they're bringing in Making Tax Digital, not me. So Lorraine, what counts as MTD for landlords?
Thank you again, Pauline. Yes, we have to start with record keeping. You have to keep a good track on your record because with the Making Tax Digital, HMRC, they have now have enforcement officers to come and check on your record. And now what count as part of your MTD is your income up to 50,000 for 2026. All your income, like especially for sole traders, every income coming from your property, and also the income from other businesses up to 50,000, you have to declare them to HMRC. But when it comes to limited company, you know, landlords that are under limited company, MTD is not part of the requirement. Thank you. And also, Pauline, because of the MTD, I usually advise most landlords to switch the properties, if they could, to limited companies, because through a limited company, you can be an employee. You are already an employee, and you take some income like PAYE, anything that goes through your pay slips from your limited company is not part of MTD. Thank you.
And I know from our conversations that you've got some very good strategies for helping landlords through navigate these choppy waters and how to handle these situations. So, yes.
Could I add something to that? Because what I find with a lot of people that are going into property or have been in property, quite often they're still thinking about how things used to be 10, 15 years ago. So there's a lot of people that are looking to make quick money. I will tell you as a mortgage broker, if you want to make real money, you have to be in it for the long haul. And the Making Tax Digital will, to a degree, shake out people who aren't looking to be professional landlords, people that are just looking for a quick buck. Because when we're doing mortgages for a lot of the landlords or people that are investing in property, what I find is their bookkeeping is usually quite poor, or they're not keeping track of expenses properly. So I would just say that, you know, quite often we criticize what the government is doing and different policies that they put in place, but at this juncture, it's a good opportunity for people who are serious about going into property and have a long-term strategy rather than a quick buck strategy. Now's a good time to get into it because there's a lot of properties on the market right now, because most property landlords that I know are selling properties because of the renters reform bill.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, a lot of people, they are struggling to have mortgages because of that pour of paperwork. When you have the right accountant, we can guarantee, let's say if you come to me, I can guarantee you by going through your paperwork and making that in order according to HMRC, you will be 100% be able to have your mortgage or your property. Thank you.
Excellent. So you can see that one of the common pitfalls, I think, is that landlords leave things to the very last minute. If you've got to submit something on the 31st or the 6th or the 1st, you wait for the week before. With Making Tax Digital, that is not going to be possible. You need to source your software very early. You need to integrate your income and expenditure and enter that into the software so that everything's ready. Remember, you're telling HMRC what you earned, and they probably learned from the bounce back loans from when we were going through lockdown, that people can guess. You're allowed to make your best guess if it's an honest guess, but now they want to know the actual figures, and that will then indicate what you have to pay. So you have to just be ready and be businesslike, dare I say. Lorraine, may we come to you?
Of course you can.
Okay, so we know that everybody's very stressed, but particularly landlords, because you're running a huge corporation, and I call it you're the head cook and bottle washer of your organization without maybe many people to delegate to. So what are the physical signs that somebody is becoming serious at a health risk?
What are some of the signs of someone being at serious health risk? Okay, so there are physiological signs, but I want to maybe start with the signs that are a little bit more muted, or maybe you might not concern yourself with. So those are things like sleep. How is everyone's sleep? How many hours of sleep did you get? 4 hours? 5 hours, anyone? How many did you get, Anthony?
Last night?
Yeah, none.
None. None.
Exactly. So if you're running a business, if you're a landlord, you're probably not getting enough sleep, and that is going to cause a host of problems for you. You're going to have an increase in cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and that is what we call the petrol on the fire. It's going to cause inflammation. And some of the things you'll find is that you're fatigued. So yes, if you haven't had any sleep and you're running on fumes today, you need to do that. You need to get through today. But you may end up feeling like you go to sleep and then you wake up feeling tired. You may not find it easy to fall asleep. You may find that you wake up during the night. You're waking up at 3 o'clock and 4 a.m. in the morning. Anyone does that? Repetitive? Yeah. Yeah, 3 o'clock. That's normally a cortisol spike. So those are some of the signs. The other signs are that you may start to be irritable. That's not just women, okay, guys? You might find that your resilience for tough things that you used to be able to do really easily, become harder to do. Those are some of the signs that you are heading towards maybe a health condition. And then what happens is that your body becomes dysregulated, and we call this in medicine, you end up getting a metabolic disease or a metabolic condition, such as type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Those come as triplets. They come together. If you've got one, you might end up getting the other two. And so what we want to make sure is that as soon as you start to see the signs, fatigue, irritability, low mood, not having energy, not having resilience, those are the times to start implementing some lifestyle changes. So it might be changing your diet. It might be starting to introduce a better sleep hygiene. It may mean managing your stress. So if you are a landlord, which we've got a room full of landlords here, those are in property business. Yes, you want to run your business well, but if you're not well enough to run your business, who's going to run it? So you have to take care of yourself. So those are some of the more muted things that we kind of overlook. Sleep, fatigue, emotional stresses are starting to indicate that something's going on in your body.
Excellent. And I have introduced Lorraine because this is a journey I went on a few years ago, and I managed to wrangle my type 2 diabetes, so I'm no longer on medication. I was sleeping for 2 hours a night, then staying awake for 4, and then getting another 2, and then I was becoming exhausted. And managing my stress has allowed me to manage my life and be in creativity. You can't think straight if you're exhausted. You can't think of good solutions to common problems if you're exhausted. So thank you for that.
And if I could add to that, this is one of the things that we have people that are pursuing property empires, and they're forgetting about the legacy side of things. They're forgetting about their health. They're forgetting about their family. So one of the things that was exciting to me when Pauline and I were talking about this panel is we don't want to just bring you here and talk to you about making money and taxes and building a property portfolio, because if you aren't healthy, you won't be able to enjoy any of those things. And what I find when I'm doing a mortgage for someone, especially property landlords, the moment you start talking to them about protection, the moment you start talking to them about key worker protection or life cover or critical illness, despite the fact that you have full transparency of all their finances, so you know it's not a price issue. But people switch off when you start talking about anything that is not like a direct link into how do I put money in my bank account. And the other thing that the stress causes is quite often early death, heart attacks, strokes, things of that nature. And because many property landlords don't have the right estate planning in place, who do you think takes everything? Who? The government. The government will take things, not because they're greedy and not because there's some, dark art behind things, but because there are different things in place. There's the rules of intestacy. So what I would encourage everyone is make sure that you get your health right, make sure that you're getting your numbers right, and make sure that you have the right things in place that when, not if, when you die, your family can benefit from all of your hard work. So that's a bit of a glimpse of what we'll be talking about this afternoon, but I'll go back over to Pauline.
So Lorraine, if I may ask you, you've gone to your doctor and the doctor's told you that your bloods are okay and that but you still feel fundamentally unwell. What would be going on with that?
Yeah, I hear this a lot of times. People that come to see me normally have been to the doctors quite a few times and not got the answers that they're looking for. So if you've gone to the doctors and your bloods are fine, I would still say work with your GP. It's always important to work with your general practitioner because they have such an overview and hopefully a health history of you if you've had the same GP. A lot of people see locums now. And so one of the things to consider is that maybe you're dealing with a suboptimal range. So for some people, let's talk about iron, for instance. You have an optimal range for iron, but some women, some men are just suboptimum. And for them, that could impact their hair, that could impact their skin, it could impact their energy levels. And the doctor might say, well, you're within range, but actually you're right at the edge of it. And so it's really important to go back to your doctors, also encourage them to maybe refer you. So I know referral patterns are changing within the NHS, and so sometimes your doctor will email a practitioner or a specialist, and they will email them back information to help support you improve the condition that you're managing, or they may refer you on to a consultant. If you're still struggling, you've done all the tests, you've had all the scans, and they can't pinpoint something, then you can come and go private, or you come to speak to someone who's a functional medicine practitioner. And the reason why we're different to allopathic or conventional medicine is that we look at the body as a system rather than individualized areas. And so, for instance, you might be struggling with a lot of stress headaches, and your nervous system is coming up fine. You've done all the blood tests, you've done the scans. However, the issue starts with the gut. Maybe you've got a gut issue, and that's actually driving inflammation that's causing problems in the vagus nerve and giving you these headaches. And so it's important that if you are getting blood tests and everything is fine and you still don't feel fine, take your health seriously. You are the best advocate for your own health. You know your body better than anybody else. And so find a practitioner that you can work with. Someone like me, yes, I'm going to plug myself. But I also really, really encourage you as someone who's been on their own health journey to work with your general practitioner. Partner with them, tell them if you're going to see a nutritionist, tell them if you're going to see a functional practitioner so they can have a good overview of what you're doing. Don't go rogue, is what I'm saying. Work in collaboration with them. Hope that answers the question.
No, thank you. And if you need Lorraine or Nellie's contact details, they're on the table just to your left. So you can go and take a picture of that, and then you've got their details. So this is something that chimes with me. Knowing what to do, but not doing it. How do you break that cycle?
Oh, okay. So many of us know what we need to do, and this isn't just about health. This could be if you're trying to change any area of your life. We can get information from Claude, from Perplexity, from ChatGTP, Google if you still use that, that search archaic form. Books. Someone in your WhatsApp group, family WhatsApp group, will send you some strange and wonderful thing that you need to start taking black seed oil or boil up some bush, if you're from the Caribbean or West Africa. But the reality is that change starts internally. The reason why we don't make the changes we need to make, whether it be in our health or other areas of our life, is because sometimes we're so reliant on extrinsic motivation factors. Okay, I need to wait until I get really ill. I need to wait until the children leave. I need to wait until I make X amount of money. But actually, we need to develop intrinsic motivation factors. And for me, the reason why people find it really hard to make a change is because the why isn't big enough. Why do you want to make the change? And when it comes to health, where I work with people is on that why. If you want to be able to be fit and healthy at 75, be able to pick up your grandchildren, be able to live independently, then you need to start thinking about your health now. Regardless if you're a landlord, you have 1, 2 properties, 10 properties, 100 properties. You need to think about where I want to be when I'm 75, when I'm 85. And if you want to be healthy, independent, be able to be around your grandchildren and not be on 65 supplements or 65 pieces of medication, then you need to start thinking about your health right now, whether you're 35, 45, 55, 60, 72. Think about it now and think about, why do I want to be healthy? What's the difference it's going to make?
Absolutely. And we know that our health is our wealth, fundamentally.
And picking up on that, there's a thing it says in the Bible that I always go back to. The things I want to do, I don't do. And the things I don't want to do, I do. And that's why these sessions are so important to me, because I think if we can have one person in here take their health seriously and go and get that checkup and find something early, it's all worth it. It's all worth it, because I just find that, as you said, we usually need a trigger. We need a friend died, or a celebrity that we're about the same age of dies, and then, you know, they had cancer or they had a heart attack. And then we start thinking, oh my gosh, I grew up listening to that person, and then that becomes our trigger. But these events are important to that as well, because it jars you, it shakes you up, and it makes you hear it from someone that obviously all of us would like for you to come and work with our businesses, but we don't know you, so we don't have an angle other than saying your health is your wealth. And if you don't make that conscious decision to take your health seriously, it could be detrimental, because most diseases, most issues, if they're caught early, or if you prevent them by having a healthier lifestyle, you can avoid them. But I would just encourage, especially men, make sure you get a prostate check, and landlords, make sure that you're managing your stress well.
And whether you had a diagnosis or not, where the mind goes, the energy flows. So you've got to have a healthy mindset. You've almost got to have affirmations where you're saying, I am healthy, or I am in recovery. I can be better. I am better. Said positively, these things can really influence your outcomes. So Anthony, with all that's going on in the world, how is the current volatility impacting mortgages?
All right, so for what I've found with a lot of portfolio landlords, they're getting frustrated with me, because the lending process is a lot more challenging now. So the stress testing is a lot more challenging now. So I had a client not too long ago, had like 4 properties with a particular lender. So he's already with that lender. He's buying a house up north, like a cheap house, 100,000. He's paying down 25%. He has like 300,000 pounds in his business account, and he's already with this lender. And in the process of doing the mortgage, the lender came back and said, well, in 2021, they went off the voters roll for a while. Why did that happen? So I say that to say this. There's a lot of things that are happening right now in the world of mortgages that's making it more challenging for everybody, but specifically for landlords. And with the things that are going on with the war and everything that's going on in Iran, most lenders, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, they're pulling deals. So what that means is they have a stated rate right now, and they're saying, as of Friday at 12 o'clock, that rate's no longer available. So what can you do as a landlord? First and foremost, if you are looking to purchase a property, start talking to a mortgage broker early. Don't wait until you found the property and everything has to rush through. If you need to remortgage, as soon as you receive the notification from your lender, speak to a mortgage broker, because then they can go and compare. Right now, things are bouncing all over the place, and I get that, but make sure you speak to a mortgage broker. And the other thing I would say is, if you're working with a mortgage broker, work with someone you trust, someone you know, someone that you're going to be open and honest with, because that's the only way we're going to be able to find you the best deals by understanding what's going on, especially in the market being so volatile at the moment.
So why should someone come to a broker instead of going direct to the mortgage company?
Good question, Pauline. Uh, the reason why you'd want to go to a mortgage broker is because most mortgage brokers use the exact same systems. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, I'm going to find you a deal that Hasvi can't find you. So it really comes down to customer service. But when you go to a mortgage broker is able to see all the deals that are out there, not just one lender. So I used to be a bank manager at HSBC and also at Halifax. So my staff might be amazing advisors. They might be really good. But when they're talking to you, they can only talk to you about their product. So they can only talk to you about Halifax or HSBC. And because each lender is going to have a USP to a degree, so like if you're a first-time buyer, Nationwide is amazing. They do high multiples. But then there's some lenders that don't like people on skilled worker visas. So a mortgage broker will be able to take all of your criteria and then be able to look at the lenders that will lend based on your criteria and then find you the best deal that you qualify for, which is important because sometimes I have people that aren't from the UK and they're on skilled worker visas and they go to their lender and their lender says no. And then they will tell people in their community, oh, you can't get a mortgage if you have a skilled worker visa. But that's not what the lender was saying. The lender was saying that our criteria is not conducive with people on a skilled worker visa, or the loan to valuation for someone on a skilled worker visa, it'd have to be like 75% or maybe 85%. Whereas there are some lenders who will do a 95% mortgage for someone on a skilled worker visa. But if you go to a mortgage broker, they'll be able to answer those questions for you.
Excellent. And why do mortgages seem to take so long?
Another good question. Almost like I asked you to ask me that question. Well, the process in the UK is actually the longest process in the developed world. Did anyone know? Yeah, really. Yeah, so in the UK, it's long. It's a long process. But I will say that a lot of the times the delays are because either someone hasn't selected the right solicitor, shout out to Juanita and TV Edwards, but your solicitor matters because the deal will only be as fast as the slowest person. If you're working with me as a broker, I won't be the slowest person. And if you're moving at pace, you won't be the slowest person. But if it hits your solicitor and they take too long to do things, it slows everything down. The other thing, if I'm honest, that usually delays deals is the client. So if you're getting a mortgage, there's a few things you're always going to need. 3 months bank statements, 3 months pay slips, proof of identification. Always send your broker what they ask you for. Don't send them what you think they need or what you interpret the thing to be, and never send them more. So you might feel like, okay, he asked me for 3 months, but I'm a gangster with my tax. I'm a gangster with my bank statements. I have 6 months, right? And you'll send them 6 months, and they're like, why did they send me these additional 3 months? Because we might find something that we didn't want to find. So only send them what they ask for. If you're unsure, ask, and move at pace. And the last thing I would say, the way my process works, if they've asked you for 4 things and you only have 3 of the things, send the 3 things that you have. Don't wait until you have everything. But the process takes a long time because the process takes a long time in the UK. The things that can speed it up is a good solicitor, a good broker, and you as the client being responsive to the requests.
So the audience, is now your turn. Does anybody have any questions for any of the panelists? If you'd like to raise your hand and maybe you could ask the question. And if not, Nelly, if I was coming to you as a landlord who was at the very, very beginning of my journey, what would you advise me to do? What would you like me, how would you like me to behave in terms of submitting my details to you for help?
Thank you, Pauline. The first thing is all about paperwork. Anthony just mentioned, when you have your paperwork right, everything works smoothly. That is the secret. It's like I have two types of clients. One, we come with a shoebox, all the receipt inside that particular box, and the other one, we come with all the receipts, let's say, and the spreadsheet. The way I'm going to charge the one with the shoebox is going to be a 5-way different from the way I'm going to charge the person with the full spreadsheet well organized. I will say the first thing, I will go through your paperwork and advise you the best software to use, or if you want me to apply my own software, I'm happy to do that. Then we take it from there. Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions from the audience? Excellent. If you'd like to tell us your name and maybe where you're based and who the question is for, please.
Hi, my name is Fayomi, based in London. And the question is to all three. How have you seen sort of technology impact what you do and the landscape of what you do?
I might start with that one. AI and health. Gosh. People come to me with a whole host of things that they've found. And so I think AI has been excellent because it is, Perplexity, for instance, is connected up to research papers and does a really good job of disseminating the information in the health space. And so if you've got a health condition and you go to that platform and put in your symptoms, you're probably going to get a good broad spectrum of things that could be going on. And it's helpful for me as a practitioner if you come with the things that you think are wrong, because then we can have a conversation about it. On the bad side is that unless you know how to read research, which I've got degrees and so I'm able to do it, and hopefully you come to me because you know that I've got the background, but you're not able to disseminate or look at that information with a critical eye, and you can end up scaring yourself into thinking death is at the door, taking a supplement or taking a medication that's not helpful for you. And so it's got its pros and cons, but I think moving forward, AI in my field is excellent, because I think the more that we know as humans and we're able to help our own selves and feel empowered, the better.
Excellent. And to you, Nelly, please.
Yes, for me, technology has been a massive and a wonderful impact for my business. Why? Because since we started using software to produce accounts and to submit our, tax for our clients, we give them a remote access to the account, which means whatever we do in our office, they can see it even from their bed. It's a way just to log in to the system and have access in all the paperwork or all the work that we submit to HMRC or company's house. Thank you.
Excellent. And you, Anthony, please.
And I would say, as a broker, it's amazing, because most of the job of a broker is searching through criteria, searching through deals, putting the admin side of things together. So it's really useful in streamlining that process. But what I would say there's two things actually. Thing number one is there seems to be a 35 divide. So I get into a lot of back and forths with people on LinkedIn about AI, because people make the statement that AI will never replace human beings. And I'm like, the moment you say never, it's kind of not on your side, because that's an infinite amount of time. But what I would say is you need to use it as a tool. So if you don't know anything about the thing and it spits something out, you can't validate it. Whereas if you have experience, you have degrees, you have knowledge, you can use it as a tool, a force multiplier, to make what you do better, that you can be more competitive, that you can provide a better service for less. So a lot of people above the age of 35, which would be me, what has happened is they've spent the last 35 years or 10 years or 30 years developing this skill set that's become their personality. So when someone now says, well, actually, we don't really need to come to you, Mr. Guru, we can use AI, they're taking that as something against their ego. So I would just say you have to have the right balance. If you're not using AI, you're missing the boat, and you will probably lose business to your competitor who is using AI. But use it with wisdom, make sure you sanity check it, but certainly use it.
Absolutely, and I find that as a business development mentor, that I'm certainly finding that my clients are able to do more functionally with AI than without it. But you often have to prepare some data sets to give AI, or the more commands, the better the commands are that you give to AI. And the more you use your AI, the more it learns about you and it's able to give you better answers. It certainly has sped up my ability to produce articles, but then I have to spend a bit more time researching every one of those references AI gives us, because we know AI hallucinates. It would take, in a conversation, it will switch places. And sometimes in court cases, it's been noted, and this is across all the different courts, that they've referenced cases that don't exist to judges in front of judges that didn't exist, and it asserts positions that don't exist in cases that do exist. So it will get things wrong. So you do have to do some checking. You do have to have some discernment of your own. And that's why it's really important to look after your health, so that you're able to recognize those. You're able to use your intuition. You're able to be in creativity and see these things for yourself as they're coming at you. So, thank you to the panelists. Any other questions, please? We've got a few more minutes. This lady at the front, I think, was first, and then there's somebody at the back who's going to come down a little bit, and then we can maybe take those last few questions. Please give us your name, where you're located, and who the question is for.
So my name is Hajri. I'm a broker like Anthony. I've come all the way from Northamptonshire to think a bit. The question is for everybody on the panel, really. Given what's happening now, all the negativity, interest rates being pulled, landlords ditching their portfolios, health becoming more of a crisis, the pressures are there, taxes changing, businesses wanting to just jump off cliffs because things aren't working, it's all very expensive. How would you advise a person coming into property as an investor with little capital, and what sort of places would you signpost them to go to? Would that be something you could help?
So I'm going to take the first respond first, and then I'll come across my colleagues. So I would say, do your numbers. Make sure that deal stacks in whatever tenancy type you're going for. So is it a single let? Is it a HMO? And what are the things that you need to do to be compliant? And what are those costs? Factor those costs into. And then property, I think, is always a sound investment. And it might be across a suite of investments that you're doing. Maybe you're doing digital currencies, stock market, and other sorts of investing in businesses, your own, your families, or just other small businesses. So what do you think, Nelly?
Yes, I always start with due diligence. Do your due diligence in any area your mind is telling you to go for. And make a lot of research, and also read a lot of reviews. Try to attend networking events. It's very important. Then you will learn from those who have already done it or who are doing it. Then you will sit down and think properly where you want to do, where you want to go, and why. Because business, I always say, everything starts with your why. Why are you doing it? There should be a purpose behind your why. Thank you.
And I'm going to close on this one. And with the why, I'd come at it from a different angle. Maybe you don't need to do property. Like, everybody feels like, because property is that sexy thing, saying, oh, I have 3 houses, 5 houses. That sounds good. But saying I have 7 vending machines that just sit somewhere and make me £1,000 a month, nobody wants to say that. So think outside the box. property is a sound investment in the long run, but there's lots of ways to make money that is low risk. Maybe you have a skill or a talent that you could do as a side hustle. There's just so many other ways to make money other than property. But if you are going to do it, due diligence, take care of your health. And we're going to wrap up because we are going to be starting the next session, but I'll hand back over to Pauline.
Okay, so if you want the contact details, you know how to contact Anthony. Look me up on LinkedIn. My name is Pauline Thomas. And the contact details for Lorraine and Nellie are to your left. You can take a photograph of their details and then reach out to them. Also look them up on LinkedIn. That's a good source.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're going to be having some more property sessions, but right now, if you make your way to the 4th floor, the next session will be starting in 15 minutes on the 4th floor, and then we'll be back in, then we'll have lunch, then we'll be back in the auditorium. So if you make your way to the 4th floor, there are elevators, and there are also stairs. Thank you.